Welcome back to Cinema Sitdown. I'm your host, Madeline Otero, and today I'm here with
Megan Weaver,
Isaiah Townley,
and Addie Miller.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back after a short intro. For today's sit down, we watched Jim Henson's 1986 The Labyrinth. Now, this is obviously my favorite movie. As you can see from my merch, I have to represent. I just love this movie because of the amount of imagination that it has in it, and it's always spoke to me even as like a child. So obviously, as my first time hosting Cinema Sit Down, I wanted to share it with everybody. Obviously, it's what I think about it, but I want to know what you guys think about it.
Are you gonna start with me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I love this movie. It's so good. It's so like weird, and I love that about it. Like it nothing, like you said before, nothing like makes sense in it, and that's why I think it's just so good. There doesn't have to be a ton of continuity because everything can make sense because it just all doesn't. And I don't know, just everything, the costuming, the music, it's just a vibe. I love it.
to me?
Yeah.
Okay, this was my first time watching the movie. I gone into it. I hadn't watched it before because I was like, I don't know if that's really my thing. Like, I'm not like super. Like, I don't need to watch it. But I was like, you know what? I'll be the person on the panel today that's like the first time viewer. And I was very. I enjoyed myself very much. I thought it was a good movie. And yeah, it was fun. And I liked the costumes and the puppetry, and all of it was very good. I really liked it.
This is my second time seeing the movie. The first time was like, I don't know, 10 years ago in some basement. I don't remember who it was. And it was just as crazy and insane as I remember it being. And it barely making, I mean, it does make sense. More sense now that I've seen it and I'm not like 10. But yeah, no, it was so fun. And it's just, it really felt like you were just giving a bunch of artists and creatives just complete freedom and just saying, just go for it, you know?
I swear I've seen this movie about 10 times, and I swear I pick up on something new every single time.
Yeah.
Or I'm sitting there and I'm like, I forgot how funny this movie is.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Maybe that's why it's my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of like details in it that like if I watched it again like tomorrow, I'd be like, oh, I forgot, or I didn't notice that this happened, and I think it's like a new experience every time.
Or there's just stuff that I just don't pick up on still.
No, that's so fair.
Unlike the whole the door thing where they're like, one of us lies and one of us doesn't.
That one,
don't understand
that will
it.
never make sense
Every
to
single
me.
time I watch it and I'm like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it this time. I'm going to understand.
Right.
And I don't.
Yeah. My guess is just that they both led to sudden death, and like, and they were just like saying that one of them didn't. If that makes sense, I don't know.
Well, I guess because Gareth was Jareth. Jareth.
It's with a J.
Jareth. Sorry, Jareth was in like
Frat dude name.
Jareth.
was in like control of it. He was like, oh, she beat it.
Yeah, I was about to say that was the actual door.
Like, oh, she got past my guys.
It's like, damn it. Okay, let's just get this.
So, okay, my favorite character has always been and always will be Ludo. And I've said this before in other stuff. I feel like I connect to him on so many levels. He complains, I complain. You know, he's like, smell bad. And I'm like, yes, smell bad. But I just love him so much. He's this big giant beast. And I too sometimes feel like a big giant beast. But really, I just want a friend.
It's true. It's good.
Who were the characters that stuck out to you guys the most?
Oh, everyone turned to me. Sir Didymus?
I knew you were going to say that. I don't know why. That just makes
Oh my
sense.
god, I loved it.
Yeah.
Just like a little guy. Any character that's like a little guy with like a goofy voice is immediately my favorite. And he's just so funny and just a little guy.
Yeah.
It's so cute. he was my favorite. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh man, I hope he sticks around. I gotta see more of this guy.
I was watching you out of the corner of my eyes as we were sitting right next to each other, and the moment he came up, you started laughing, and I was like, this is your favorite.
He's like, knew it.
Oh, mine's gonna be the exact same. Every time he came up on screen, I was just like, oh. And he, like you said, he said, I'm hungry. I was literally hungry when he said that.
hungry
We had a
too.
connection. It was crazy. But yeah, I'm just a fan for like the trope of like big old scary
Me
giants who
too.
are really like sweet inside. I love that trope. So
He literally, I've seen this movie 10 times, and every single time he pops up and he says, Ludo down, I go, oh, my heart, like, explodes.
Yeah, no, he was so sweet.
I was like, why were they doing that? Why were they torturing him?
I don't know.
That's weird. I don't know. Yeah, I think my favorite is Jareth. Not just because he's hot, but I mean, that's a reason I guess we could put on there. I think close second though is the Fire Gang. And I don't know why, but like when I was younger, they scared me. But now I'm like, I could vibe with them. You know what I mean?
That's a common,
Yeah?
thing for people.
Oh, really?
I tried to watch it once with my little cousin, because my brothers also love this movie, and she was like 7, and that scene came on, and she started freaking out.
Yeah, they're
and
creepy.
we had to turn it off, and I was so mad, because even this is my favorite movie, and I'm like, we haven't even got to the good part yet.
No.
We haven't even got there.
The girl,
We
stop
just
crying.
we just got Ludo, and now we have to find something else to watch. I was so mad.
No, I can understand that. I think if I watched that as a kid, I'd be terrified because it
Yeah.
is like that, like creepy, like surrealist, like what's that thing called where someone like looks human but like
Oh, like
really
uncanny?
uncanny valley. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of that, and I think if I did watch it as a kid, I'd be freaked
No,
out.
it's so fair.
But like now I can like appreciate like
Yeah.
like the artistic like
Right.
effort put into
they
it.
still freak me
They're
out.
still a little
That's
Still
creepy. They're
freak me
still a little
out.
freaky, but
I think it has to do with the green screen. part
That
of
might
it.
honestly
Yeah.
be part of
Because
it.
we go from this beautiful scenery,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah.
so obviously a green screen, and I love it so
like
much.
all the other effects in this movie are great. Like for what, like 89?
86.
86. Yeah, the effects look
Yeah.
decent. They're good, except the fire people scene.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know.
Budget
but they're
cut.
just a
I
bunch
don't
of
know.
guys that like fire.
And
Yeah.
they've like taken their heads off and thrown them. I mean,
true.
yeah, I'll get behind that.
And maybe that's why. Maybe because it just like I know everything doesn't really make sense, but like that scene specifically probably didn't need to be added. But like the fact that they
It
did
adds
add
to
it,
the vibe.
it just is like,
vibe.
this is great. This is so good. That was fun.
And then I always like to ask, because when I've watched this with other people, they don't get it. They don't get it all. They think it's a silly movie. But like, what did you guys think the theme of it was? I'll answer after. I'm curious. I don't want you guys to copy me.
Yeah, I mean, what I got from it was, it seemed something about, like, wanting some sort of, like, materialistic sort of dream, or, I don't know, some sort of dream that you have, but you have to, like, sacrifice your family for it, is the sort of sense I got, because at the end, she's, like, gathering all her personal belongings and stuff, and she can't remember her family, and it's like a big thing that she's like, no, I'm gonna throw these things away and search for my brother. So I guess it's like, don't sacrifice like family for your dreams or something like that. And what was his name?
Jareth?
Jareth.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Jareth.
He was like,
David
oh, I
Bowie.
can give you everything you want,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be my slave and I'm like your slave. So it's like, okay, so
Yeah.
you have to
What
like,
was happening?
maybe she's like enslaved to her dream of being like an actor or something. I don't know. Like, it was kind of confusing. And it
I
was the
think it's
first time
supposed to be confusing.
yeah, it was the first time I ever thought about it more than like 10 seconds. As I was, because I mean, I saw it as a kid, so I was like, what does that mean? I don't know. And I just moved on. So it was interesting seeing it like a second time and trying to figure it out a little bit.
I think what I thought of it was like Sarah like has this like big like imagination, like this like a great imagination, and I really liked that she was like that creative person. And like near the end of the movie, like the last scene in the movie where she's like, her parents are home, we're back in like the real world, she's like packing up her things like all sadly, I'm like, oh, are they gonna Breakfast Club us with this ending where she gives up her dreams and like she's like, you know what, I don't want to live in this silly world anymore, and then she brings them back. I'm like, you can have like this big serious adventure with like saving your family, gaining friends, and you can still have like the creative and silliness part of you in your life.
Yeah.
And so I was glad that she like held on to it and wasn't just like, and I'll forget it all. No, she like keeps it with her and will like, I assume will go on to learn from the experience.
Aw.
That's a really good take. Well, you're sorry. I made it sound like you were missing good, but
just delete my part
Oh,
of
no,
the
wait,
video.
Yeah,
wait,
yours
wait.
actually just sucks.
I think it's I've never thought about either of those. I kind of took it as like a like the trope of like be careful what you wish for kind of thing, because like in the moment, because we're human and we feel big feelings, I feel like a lot of the time in a moment of like anger we want something else or we think a certain way, but obviously whenever at the beginning she was like I didn't actually mean it that way, it was just her kind of expressing it. So it's kind of like then having to get back what she actually wants. And it's crazy though that like, I mean, not saying I wouldn't do this for my siblings, but like what she went through is actually crazy. But it's like, even though your journey's going to be long and stuff like that, it's like family's family, man, you know. What about you?
So true.
Thanks.
I've always seen this movie, like, Sarah is such an interesting character to me. She's always been one of my favorite characters, like actual people, you know, compared to like just Ludo. But she grows so much through the movie that every single time I rewatch it at the very beginning, I'm like, she's kind of a brat. Like, she just starts off so selfish and she's in her own world and she doesn't see anybody else. And then she goes on this giant trip and she learns so many life lessons. You're watching this movie and in between, like, fart jokes, they're like, you know, they're dropping these deep senses of knowledge. Like, you're taking stuff for granted. And, you know, there's only one way out. It's through.
I like that.
So I've just always seen it as, you know, she's learning to grow through her own personal way. She's growing into a young lady. And I just, through her own imagination. Well, I guess that's kind of my next question.
Okay.
Transition. Do you guys see this as an Alice in Wonderland sort of situation, or do you think that she was dreaming this whole thing, or do you think that she actually went there? Because I've always been, even now, I still say, even watching it, I think she truly went there. Truly think it. This was not, even at the end, she's like, this is a dream. It was not a dream. How did you end up at the bottom of the stairs, girl?
Yeah.
We were just in Toby's room, and now you're down in the foyer?
True.
That's what I gotta say.
I think I will agree with you. I hate the trope of, and it was all a dream. Like, you go through this whole long movie of all this fantastic adventure, like growth, like character growth. She just character grew on her own in those 6 hours in her own house. Like, no, I think I want to believe, as much as like realist, like, oh no, it was all in her head. I want to believe that she actually did go on this adventure and was in the land that she was and went through it all.
Yeah, I'm also gonna agree with both of you. I think I also am really annoyed by by movies and also just the internet's tendency to be like, oh, theory time, it was all a dream. It's like real creative. Like, okay, that doesn't add anything. I think it's way more interesting if it was real, and I think everything happened in reality, and I think that means a lot more than if it had just been some weird imagination thing she was going through. That doesn't make sense to me. Let things be fantastical.
Where was she for those 5 hours?
Just like
Where was
walking
she?
up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
I do agree. I almost wonder if it's one of those things where if it was either, hold up, like, okay, this is gonna be kind of weird, but like, I think she actually did go there, but if her parents were to come back while she was like gone, I wonder if like her would still be there, maybe like sleeping. So it's like she was still there, or even maybe like time stopped in that real world, and then she went back in. You know what I'm saying?
That's
'Cause,
what
like,
I think
I
it
like
was
that a lot
laying
better.
there
Yeah.
When wasn't the baby like kind of teleported back to where
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, basically.
So
That's
maybe-
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Goblins
would say
basically.
like I think like the real world like paused like completely in time, and then when she got sent back, the like time skipped like the 5 or 6 hours ahead.
I think time kept
Yeah.
going because when she came
It
back,
just, like, slowed
boom,
down. Yeah.
it was like
Oh, that's
that.
true.
The timer went off, or the clock.
Timer went off.
Yeah, but
No, I definitely see that. It's just so hard for me when they're like, oh, she says, oh, I was asleep the whole time. Like, girl, you just walked out of the window
Yeah.
of the second story. And now, after 5 hours later,
Yeah.
you're just back in the foyer.
Yeah.
Now that I have those questions, my last little thing, I want to know, like, your overall thoughts and your overall score out of 10. I can go first.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Let me think. Let me
Obviously,
think. Let me think.
This movie is a 10 out of 10 for me. I just have to say it. It's my favorite movie. I love it. I love it so much. So it will always be a 10 out of 10 to me. And I think it's so funny.
I agree.
Mhm.
I will probably give it. No, wait. Okay, actually, I might take my score back. I think it's an 11 out of 10.
Oh my god.
no, we have to go
Oh,
to
shoot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you
wasn't
better
what I
keep
was
going.
gonna say, but
It just, there's so much thought put into this movie. It's probably one of the main movies I've ever seen that just so much detail is put into it. Like, oh my gosh, just like the air, like what am I thinking? The locations.
I was thinking of like the sets.
Yeah,
All the sets.
all of that.
Like the one, like the very first like scene of her in the labyrinth, where she, like obviously like we like looked down this hallway, looked down that hallway, and I was like, they're not that long. And then we have them like her running down the whole thing, and I was like, they actually had to make that big long hallway, and like all the trees and like forest areas. Like I think the sets
Yeah.
are like very elaborate
Like
and put
it-
together.
Very a labyrinth.
And
Okay, so
cut.
anyway. Yeah, I was about to say, see you later, guys. But like, yeah, like even just the sets, the costuming, all of like the individual goblins, like that's
They were so cute.
that's crazy. And that was the thing is that for some reason didn't scare me as a kid. But I wonder if it's just because like they had funny voices and they were like they were silly, so it
Yeah.
like didn't scare me.
They're
I'm like,
just silly
oh.
little guys.
Yeah, and oh man, I just love this movie so much. The music is amazing. Isn't it like mostly composed by David
Yeah.
Bowie? Yeah.
All the songs are
Dang.
pretty much by David Bowie, other than like the instrumentals. All like the singing stuff, that was all David.
Man.
What a man.
What a man.
What a
Can we
legend.
just think about that for a second? What a man. Go ahead. What's your guys' scores?
Well, I can't go up past what we've established, unfortunately. I would say like a 8.5, bordering like nearing and close to a 9. I might have to watch it again to like get like a full like review. But no, it was there's so many details. Like all the goblins were different. They didn't just like make 15 of the same looking goblin. They made them all different sizes, all different like ways of like maneuvering them. And I think like all like the effects, like the rocks rolling at the end, and like I just can't. Whenever I watch a movie that Jim Henson has made, I'm like, how did they do this? What is this? Like how are there like 15 puppets on stage and they're all in a million different places right now? So I think it's just so cool to like see the work put into that and like have a good outcome product to it. And you know, it was really funny, and I laughed several times. I mean, I don't know why I didn't not expect it to be funny, but it was funny. And so yeah, I say 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like you said, just if I'm looking at just visually and artistically, I think it's definitely a 10. And I think it did give me that same like, I don't know, that childhood wonder, you know. It really felt like I was going through like another fairy tale. So I really appreciate it for that. I think for me, it was hard for me to kind of understand the character a little bit. That was kind of a problem. I didn't really feel like I could really understand maybe what she was thinking or relate. So that was a problem. And the story is pretty fun. It's just structured like pretty simple. But yeah, the design of everything is just great. I probably have to give it maybe the same, like an 8.5. I think just watching it now where we have all these sorts of like really crappy CGI movies and stuff like that, it makes you appreciate everything that
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
went into this. And like you said, it's all super unique.
Mm-hmm.